This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/red5.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
That is right. Thanks for tuning in, fellas, and other multi-lobed beings. What's up, Brad?
What?
Come on, we have
Please don't ever say multi-lobed again.
We have a wide variety of listeners and followers, and I'm sure some of them are multi-lobed.
Just like the aliens on Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew, yes. Hello, everybody. Brad, it's great to see you, and it's great to see everyone in the chat. Danny,
thanks for spending your Saturday night with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to another edition of a live show here at Scarif Live, the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. Our live show, we are talking about the Skeleton Crew tonight. We've got some great people in the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out. A couple of nights ago, I tested this platform. It's one stream live. And let's see here. I'm going to do this. Danny says she's first. Yes, that is correct. She was here first.
First, you're last.
Science Fictionary, what's up? Red 5 Tavern. Heyo. Spencer is in the house. Ubaldo, thank you very much for stopping by. Talking Star Wars. Hey, hello there. And our favorite, Nicole Marie, is here. Some really great people in the chat. Thank you very much for showing up. Like I said, we're going to be talking about some Star Wars shenanigans. Absolutely. Oh, our friend Backyard TARDIS, Nicholas Schaefer.
Wasn't I call him Backtard?
Backtard. No. Hope everything is well in your neck of the woods, Nick. I know they had an earthquake over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I did see something about that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, before we start, I went to the my local AMC theater to check out the first two episodes of Skeleton Crew, and I really got to tell you, obviously we've had a slew of Star Wars on the small screen. We've had some previews like Rogue One and The Empire Strikes Back, and I think we had a little preview of Andor on the big screen that was playing with Rogue One, so that was a lot of fun. But seeing Star Wars, on the big screen, I think is a special thing. These first two episodes looked fantastic on the big screen. Watched it with some other Chicago locals.
So were you the only one there? How many people were there?
No, it was a pretty good size crowd. We got Todd from WSTR and Little T from Big T and Little T. Fan Dads Victor hooked me up with some great VIP seats, so that was great. Try to get some other Chicago folks in there, but some the schedules were a little mismatched. I tried to see if Greg wanted to come by from Rebel Base Card, but he was not available. But yeah, so again, watching Star Wars on the big screen, I think it's definitely one of the things that I really miss. I miss, the visuals. I miss the sound, the stereo sound of a.
It's the vibe. I miss the vibe.
It is.
You don't get that. It still looks good at home, but and I did think this show looked great, but you don't have that vibe, the electricity.
Right. And what are you going to do? Like sit in line waiting for your couch to be available so you can get in line? It's the line is different. It's like you said, the vibe when you're waiting in line to get into the theater and you got your popcorn, you got your drink. And it's something special. So I hope that I know we've got a couple of movies that are in the works, getting back to the big screen, getting back Star Wars to the big screen. So I hope that folks, kind of take advantage of that. And I know we've been used to, watching movies on a small screen on our telephones, heaven forbid, but just watching movies at home. And I know the convenience is there, but I think, like you said, man, it's really it's the vibe.
Yeah, especially when you can, meet strangers and, just start talking to them and, finding out what their favorite movie is and who their favorite characters are and, getting their history. It's amazing. You don't get that at home.
Absolutely. Backyard TARDIS, I know we are in a chat together with some other folks. He says this show is amazing, and I'm so happy to be excited about Star Wars again. He's talking about the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast live, right?
He is. Can I go ahead and give my my one sentence review that you asked me
Your
to give?
one sentence review.
You asked me to give me you asked for a one sentence review of Skeleton Crew.
Yes, what is it? Let's hear it.
It's better than the Acolyte.
Oh,
by the way, I just noticed your name on there, and it's a great name that you have. This is the time I just put Brad on there, and you got I'm just Ro.
That's hilarious. No, but
how many episodes is this going to be? Is this 8 episodes?
I think it's 8 episodes. Yes. 8 episodes of the Skeleton Crew. Before we start on that, I did want to ask you a couple of questions because there's a couple of things in the news that has been popping up all over the place on all the feeds. From time to time, we hear that certain actors would love to go back to Star Wars if they were in a Star Wars before. We hear
Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson, obviously, wants to return as Mace Windu. He continues to, profess that the character is not dead, that he's able to survive that fall. So that would be really, interesting to see. But lately, I hear that Felicity Jones is open to return as Jyn Erso, and obviously, we know what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I loved her. We both love that movie, obviously. And I think she did a fantastic job, but her backstory is not the same as Andor's backstory. Right. He was actively involved with the rebellion, and she did, grow up with Saul, and but that story's been told already in a young adult novel that came out a few years ago.
Sure.
But I don't know how she would fit back into the story now.
Yeah, I mean, the Star Wars obviously is pretty good about going back and forth story wise. So I'm sure we can kind of maybe try to fit her in if the writing is good, if the story is good. I know, now that we have, kind of a nice little platform to be able to tell these stories in whatever order you choose. But I think that might be interesting. I definitely would welcome, seeing a little bit more Jyn Erso. We got
now if it starts with her and Cassian ducking and covering on Scarif.
Scarif,
I'm down.
Oh my God, cover. That would be hilarious. What else? Speaking of movies, obviously we were talking about James Mangold. Just gave us an update and said that he's busy working on his Dawn of the Jedi. I know there were 3 movies I think that were announced. Dawn of the Jedi was one. I think we've got the Mando, verse movie, and then obviously all the Rey movies that are coming out or whatever, whether it's a trilogy or just a one-off that starts a trilogy. I don't know what the story is there, but it almost seems to me, and I've said it before on the show, it almost seems to me like Disney doesn't know what era to go into, so it kind of generated a way to maybe gauge the audience's interest.
That's what I feel like they're doing. Like they're like, hey, how about this? And see what reaction they get, and like, oh yeah, I guess we'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, so far it hasn't paid off. It hasn't really. I think the Mando era, stories are probably what has been hit most. Mandalorian has been successful online. I know they had the High Republic books, but those I would say they're kind of a categorical failure because the drop-off rate is so incredibly steep.
I hate that I couldn't care less about the Mandalorian anymore. It
Well,
was such a good show to begin
yeah,
with, but
I
I
think
don't
season 3 did that for me.
season 3, episode 1, because I never got past that.
Oh wow! So you never finished it?
Uh-uh.
Yeah. What you eating over there?
It's from my Star Wars swag box that I got in the mail.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So let's show it. Let's show it off. What
Star Wars sent this just to me.
I know
Yes.
everybody's getting wonderful swag from the Star Wars account. What'd you get?
It is
Get
a
out of here!
Darth Vader popcorn
Whoa!
holder
Are you
signed
kidding
by
me?
George Lucas, right?
Really?
Here. Yeah.
Is there actually popcorn in it? And you just broke it.
There is. This is from
George Lucas himself?
Yeah, it's from the what's the place called out there? The Lucas's
Lucas
place.
ILM Lucas Ranch.
The ranch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from the Bunny Ranch. I mean,
That's great.
Yeah,
Well,
and this Star Wars sent it just to me because I'm such a good fan.
you're such a shill.
I am.
You're such a shill. That's great that Star Wars was able to sell.
This popcorn is almost as good as The Last Jedi.
Oh wow, must be good then.
What'd you get from Star Wars?
I also got a box. Let me see here. Let's see what they sent me. Let's see. I know it's in there somewhere.
Fragile.
They must have forgotten the packet. Oh well.
They already know you have enough swag.
They probably do. I've got plenty of Star Wars swag that
It's the
that
Force.
will keep me. That'll
It's
keep
the
it.
Force.
It is the Force. Ooh,
It's the Force.
They sent me the Force. I don't want to do this thing.
It's
again
like those
anymore.
first 12 action figures that came out, or however many it was.
Excellent. Yeah, that's great. But I asked you in a text what you thought of Star Wars sending out swag to specific accounts, and I think my initial answer is that what did I say? Echo chambers feed themselves, and I think you can definitely count that on both ends of the spectrum, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But what are your? We won't dive too much into it because I know it's supposed to be a happy Saturday show. But what do you think of that?
To me, it's not gonna. I mean, like maybe it was they did it with the best of intentions, but they're gonna be very selective of who they send the swag to, and it's just there's, as Danny and others have said, there's plenty of other people that have been loving Star Wars for a long time, and you could say rightfully deserve some swag from them, but they're never going to get it. So I think, I don't know, I see it as a net negative thing.
Yeah, like I said, it is what it is. It's kind of goofy, but we don't need anyone to send us swag. We'll just go out and get it ourselves.
That's right. But thank you for the Darth Vader popcorn holder.
And thank you for the Force. It's strong. What else? We're going to be talking about Skeleton Crew. I know Nick is very happy that he finally has a Star Wars to latch onto. He is really happy, and I know a lot of people have been talking about it. I've taken a look at some polls from some accounts out there, and I think for the most part, most people say they like it. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are surprisingly, they have a surprisingly favorable opinion of the show. And I think, when I went to the movie theater, I kind of, you see the trailers, you have your opinions on what you see in the trailers. But once you get in there, it's like, oh, what am I going to find? I too was surprisingly, agreeable on the two first episodes. But I wanted to ask you first, what did you think? Obviously the trailers came out. You saw the little elephant dude and the Major Tom, Peter Schilling song and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts going in to just watching the trailer? Was it something? I know we were definitely excited about the Acolyte because it looked dark and serious and stuff like that, and we know how that turned out. But what were your first thoughts on the Skeleton Crew before watching it?
Yeah, we can call this the acolyte effect. I set my bar very, very low for this one for a couple of reasons. One, I still feel like we're in an abusive relationship with Disney Star Wars, and what happened with the acolyte, like you said, and also that it was publicly geared towards a younger crowd. So putting my cynical side or cynical part of me aside, I had, I didn't expect much from the show, and I think it worked. By not expecting much, I was pleasantly surprised by what we saw.
Yeah, and I think that's the attitude with a lot of folks. But a while ago we did a show on YouTube that asked the question, should we lower our standards for Star Wars? And a lot of people have said, okay, it's better than Acolyte. Uh, is that a qualifier? Are we lowering our standards for these new shows? Are we tired about? Are we tired of being angry? Angry men, angry Star Wars fans. What do you think?
Maybe, but I think this one is independently decent, right? Completely disregarding the acolyte. I think this one stands on its own as being a decent Star Wars show. I mean, uh, we've had things like the Ewoks. People have mentioned the Ewoks movie in there. The Ewoks cartoons. We've had stuff geared towards younger crowds, and it's been quality stuff. And I think this one independently stands as a so far. They
Right.
could crush this at any time. But I think it stays on its own.
Yeah, I think it does. It was hyped as Goonies in space. Do you think it lives up to that hype? Why is that important, especially for fans of our generation?
I mean, I think it could. I mean, like his obsession or his belief that it was a Jedi temple, that was cool, and because these kids would have never seen a Jedi temple or anything like that. Um, so I don't think it's there yet, but I think it has the potential to be that as we go along.
Yeah, speaking of Goonies in space, I think I think Star Wars really was deliberate about setting up those connections. Um, Again, for someone of our age, we hear that song Major Tom, and we hear the Star Wars rendition of that. It does throw.
That still trips me out.
It does. Did I sent you the? There's a lyric video on YouTube. Did you watch
I
that?
forgot to watch that. I still need to watch that.
You get distracted there.
Yeah, easily. I'm kind of scared to watch it though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's funny. I watched it. I was very scared, but you know what? It's like I heard the dun, 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 dun. So it was kind of like cool to kind of listen to that. But then you get the hutties that comes in front and center, and it does throw you off a little bit. But it's fun. It's fun.
Is that the right kind of music for this sort of show, or would we be better off with a John Williams esque?
Um, Again, it depends on their focus. I think it depends on their objective. I think when it comes to luring in, dads like us that remember those songs from our youth, I think it worked, pretty well. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
but we
I,
also
I
remember Imperial March from our youth.
right, right, right. But I think I really would love to sit down at a boardroom, with all the higher ups and kind of, listen to that conversation and see how that went. Did anyone have to convince anyone to kind of use that song to kind of help promote this show? Why not? It's interesting. I mean, it's
Yeah,
definitely the first.
yeah, and you asked me a question, and I'll pose it to the chat as well. You asked if they were going to use another song for another project, what song should they use from the '80s, and what should that go along with? And I'll give my answer in a couple minutes. I think I got
Yeah,
the best.
most of the folks in the chat were not born yet, so except for maybe Danny.
All right.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, again, this show is probably the one show that has the most Easter eggs. I mean, they were
Apparently, I missed a few. According to the chat, I've missed a few Easter eggs.
yeah. Well, there was if you do a Google search, there's an article on one of the publications that cite 61 Easter eggs.
Oh wow, what was this? Who mentioned the Ewoks movie? Apparently, there's a reference to the Ewoks movies.
Yes, the little dude that ferries them from the ship where it's docked to the spaceport. That little skinny, little hairy half guy. He's I think his name is Neek or Meek. He's the guy that ran really fast in the Ewok movies,
Oh
Battle
wow,
for the first one.
oh that's cool.
Yeah. There's a Captain EO, the Michael Jackson Star Wars crossover reference from
Yeah.
Disneyland. That little red.
Anybody else notice me that I noticed the droid SM-33 clearly
Yeah,
Smee.
yeah. I'm sure. Teak. Yeah, that's Danny. Thank you, Danny, for coming to the rescue. Teak was the reference to the Ewok movies. But yeah, the first episode titled "This Could Be a Real Adventure," directed by John Watts, if I'm not mistaken. And one of the things that is always in question when a new Star Wars show comes up is how do you feel about no crawls in these shows?
Well, I did like that they kind of gave the little blue backstory, kind of like was it Rogue One did that, I think, or Solo
Yeah.
did that. Yeah, that was. I mean, I'm kind of used to it by now. I think those should be. I'm fine with reserving those for the bigger projects.
Sure.
I mean, actually, it could have been cool. I mean, like giving the kids their own crawl. I think it would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, and I know the music was done by Michael Giacchino's son. I'm not saying his name right, and I can't remember. It's Giacchino
DiGiorno.
Jr. What'd you think of the music?
I think I liked it more than you did. I mean, I thought it was fitting for what they had going on.
Yeah, I think for me, at this point, it wasn't anything to write home about. It was unremarkable. Although my second watch a couple of nights ago, I did notice some very familiar Return of the Jedi tones and rephrases of some of the action scenes music.
Yeah. I think we'll probably have to listen for that subtleness in there.
Yeah. But yeah, that first scene, I mean, we get that Star Wars feel. Obviously,
that was amazing. I love that.
Yeah,
one.
the titles go away, and then the camera kind of tilts down, and everybody says "pans down," and I cringe every time I hear people say "pan down" because a pan is right and left, and a tilt is up and down. Damn it! But that's neither here nor there. So the camera tilts down, and you see the planet, very familiar to us Star Wars fans. And then we see, which was kind of cool, we see like a little bit of debris that's floating past the camera. Then you see the ship, and then you see, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that first scene with the pirates and the attack.
Yeah. I mean, the hull breaches were really amazing. I mean, I thought that was great technology, looked good, sounded good. Like you said, I think the music went pretty well with that one. And it's good to see one of those Wolfman guys, taking the lead on shooting people. Whatever species. I always forget what species that is, but good to see them in action on there. And I thought, wasn't what I was expecting going into this show. I thought that was very Star Wars-esque.
Yeah, and those tubes, we've seen those before, right? In the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So those are pretty good. I think everybody is comparing the scene to the beginning scene of A New Hope, where the rebels
It was, yeah.
run through the hallway and get ready to have an invasion come on board. What'd you think of the look and feel of the pirates in general?
Decent. I mean, well, so have you picked up some? I've picked up some like Guardians of the Galaxy sort of feel to this show. I think
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know the
I think at this point it's
Yondu's
unavoidable.
crew,
Sure, sure.
you know,
One
Ravagers.
thing that I noticed that is different on this show than some of the previous shows. When Obi-Wan Kenobi the series came out, I thought I mentioned to Sean from Extra Star Wars, we started talking about the cinematic quality of some of the shots. And I think in Book of Boba Fett for sure, and then a little bit in Kenobi, I was missing those wide shots, those shots that kind of lingered on for a little longer, long enough to give yourself, just to kind of look at the environment to see how the environment relates to the characters and stuff like that in the frame. And we do get a lot more of that sort of thing, camera work, in this show than in previous shows, and I like that. And I think it's obviously because John Watts is a seasoned filmmaker. So it was really nice to see just kind of like that extra cinematic quality of it. The thing too that I enjoyed is a lot of times the director, and Steven Spielberg has said this, a lot of times the director just puts the camera on a tripod and then just shoots the scene. There's no additional movement. And with this, I saw a lot of nice, camera movements where the character is walking from one side to the other. So technically, to me, already in the first couple of minutes, it's a bit more than I'm used to for a Star Wars show. It's a little bit more superiorly done. Loki says professionalism. Yeah, I would assume that you could use that word for what I'm describing. But
I
did you
mean, it
notice
got
anything
me.
like that?
Yeah, I mean, it got me hooked. Like I mean, literally a hook. I was engaged in the show from those opening scenes where there's been some previous projects where like, what am I watching here?
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I was, it was enough to bring me in to raise my interest. So that's all you can ask for.
What's up, Jesse? Jesse from Crusher Convo. She, I'm so proud of her. She
Are you
is.
guys gonna start talking Star Trek now?
We're gonna start talking. Yeah, we're gonna start talking. No, she can do that. She actually has the actual Dr. Crusher coming up on her show real
That's
soon.
cool.
So I hope I didn't spoil that. But yes. So once we clear this pirate story, and obviously, the guy in the helmet, we all know that it's Jude Law, correct?
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
I
But
mean,
I
unless
wanted,
that's too obvious. But
yeah, well, I think the tone in his voice, even behind the mask, you can kind of tell that it's the incredible Mr. Ripley, right? What do you think about the plot? Where do you think it was set up? They finally break into the vault and they only find one credit.
yeah, I think there was. I mean, that's always a cool little. I mean, it's nothing too complex, but that's a fun little story. I'm sure there was something else there, or it was a good old fashioned setup. But that's nice.
Yeah,
I mean, it was enough to get him thrown in
in,
prison.
in the brig in the prison. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, that should be an interesting tale to tell upcoming. I think we're going to learn a lot more about Jude Law's character in episodes 4 or 6, one of those two. But yeah, once we clear that initial pirate story, we get a nice sequence of events with the kids. And I got to tell you, one of the things going into the movie theater before watching the 2 episodes, I was afraid about the kids. They always say that you never should work with kids and animals in movies and television, but the kids' relationship, the dynamic between Neil and Win, and then also later on when we meet the girls, Fern and KB, I think they worked damn good. I think
Yeah.
they related to each other in a way that was very familiar to us, growing up, like, boys on this side, girls on that side. But I think, obviously we'll get to it later. They really have developed a nice little connection. A friendship is starting. What did you think of the kids and their acting?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it seemed very natural. It seemed like kids, playing on the playground. I didn't seem forced or anything. And but it's what? It's more. No.
It's Marak from. Remember that everybody was trying to guess who the mysterious dark side force user in the Ahsoka show.
Oh yeah.
They were thinking that he was Ezra and somebody else.
But yeah, I mean, so I know we've been talking about this. Like, it's weird to me because we see the kids playing with Star Wars toys, and we see them lights. I mean, but you mean, yeah, Jedi are a thing, but did it seem weird to you at all that they're reading Star Wars comics and playing with Star Wars toys in a Star
I
Wars?
No, I don't think so. I think that they are reacting to legendary stories, similar to anybody that would be listening to bigger than life stories of heroes and villains. I think it's part of the imaginative setup that this story is taking place in. And obviously we have and we might have to get our chat to kind of help us because we are not very in tune with the High Republic stories like that. But obviously there is a High Republic connection, and we'll get to it towards the end of the show. It didn't bother me. I was curious to see if anybody would translate some of the pages that Wynn was reading into
Here's
some of the images.
Yeah, I have a problem with High Republic references. So this is supposed to be after Return of the Jedi, right? It's supposed to be Mandalorian time frame.
Right.
The Empire wiped out most of that history. They systematically got rid of most of the history of the Jedi to the point where most people thought the Jedi were a myth. Where Ray
Right.
thinking that even Luke Skywalker, who was a hero of the rebellion, was a myth. So it's kind of weird that they would have ready access to knowledge of the High Republic to me.
Well, if you remember, this planet has been hidden,
Oh yeah, it's Orlando.
or
That's
so. We'll see what happens in the story, but when the trailers first came out, everybody was complaining about Star Wars Suburbia.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the environment that the kids lived in?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I gave it a pass. That's the look that they decided. We conceded that there's billions or trillions of planets out there. So to say that none of them look, remotely Earth-like would be ridiculous. But I'll tell you what, I love the little junior versions of speeder bikes. I thought those
Yeah.
were really cool,
Yeah.
with tassels and
Sure.
everything else. I thought that was really cool.
Again, very 80s, very youthful. They bring us back to that time. I think they were well designed. Obviously, everybody makes fun of the Vespas from the Book of Boba Fett, but I think
Yeah,
these
these look
were
way better than
way they look like they belonged in universe. You had the way that they looked, the design, and I think they were pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
What do you think? There seems to be a lot of droids in this environment. It's almost like they are the gatekeepers in society. They seem like they show up when it gets lost. He's there's a truant officer, droid. It seems like and later on when the starship takes off, the father encounters the droids that are kind of investigating what's going on and you hear one of the droids say this is a restricted area. So there seems to be a lot of mystery surrounding the fact that this this planet is kind of guarded by droids. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and I mean, one, real life, we're going that way too. AI, they're figuring out that AI can do most jobs. So right now, humans, our society, we're figuring out what does the workforce look like in the future when all these other jobs can be done by AI and through other, robotic means. So that, I mean, I can see that being a thing. Um, but yeah, there's I don't know what do they refer to, the planet of endless treasure or something like that.
Something like that. And obviously we'll get some answers as the series progresses. But I thought it was interesting. I think, obviously once the kids get to the spaceport, the pirate area, they're flashing around their old credits, and some of the aliens take a look at these credits and say, "Where'd you get these old Republic credits in mint condition?" So, in this arena, that currency is not supposed to be around, let alone, nice, new, and shiny. So, either this planet is lost to civilization or lost in time from some reason. But yeah, it definitely generates a little bit of curiosity and interest for me to obviously to continue with the story.
Yeah, they call it the barrier, I think, passing through the barrier.
Right. Yeah.
So something keeping them off the grid, so to speak.
Yeah, and the thing that interests me too is when they were up in the ship, one of the kids says, "Wow, what is that?" And then there's like, "Well, they're stars." So they haven't really seen stars. They are not too familiar with space travel, although one of them did mention hyperspace lanes. So um, there does seem to be kind of a varying level of knowledge with these kids. I know the girls seem to be a little older than the boys.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird that they never been outside this barrier, but they know what hyperspace is.
Yeah. Um, Hyperspace Heroes podcast. Yeah, I was telling you before we started. Star Wars Explained translated all of Wim's screens, and I wasn't going to do the legwork, so I'm glad somebody did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean
I mean, I'm sure
that's
there's apps
interesting.
for it now. Anyway,
Sure, sure, sure. So what do you think of once they get into the ship? I think they go on an adventure. People were talking about the fact that this is a Goonies in space, but Danny and I think we were talking about that it seemed like more like Explorers. Remember the Explorers movie?
no.
Yeah, not a lot of people do, and it's funny. I think similar to the VHS and Beta Cam home video war, the Goonies and the Explorers were kind of fighting the same battle, and I think the Goonies won.
The Explorers, that's what it was called.
Yeah, and I
No,
think
I know it's more Lost in Space, isn't it?
a little bit, yeah, yeah,
But we had skeletons though. First there's the droid that was looked skeleton like, but then you had actual skeletons on there too. So that was a little one-eyed Willy feel to it.
sure, sure. And then obviously you can tell that these skeletons were former pirates that fought with each other. There was a little bit of a mutiny, and it seems like the ship crash landed on this planet. And I'm wondering if these pirates heard about the legend of this location, went to go find it, something happened, and they crash landed in this forbidden zone. And it's kind of cool that they crash landed upside down. You can see, on the bridge of the ship, the chairs were upside down, which was kind
Mm,
of cool. It's just a little different,
yeah.
right?
Why do you think he was so obsessed with it being a Jedi temple?
You know what? I just feel like as kids, you imagine certain things. You want to go on these adventures, and I think he represents, all of us at that age. The hero's journey, as we are familiar with. The call to look out onto the twin sons of Tatooine. So I think he is obsessed with these stories about Jedi, and he expresses his need to be on an adventure to hopefully maybe find a lost Jedi temple. And I think later on when we meet the Jude Law character towards the end of the second episode, I think that kind of will continue to feed his hunger for more of Jedi stories. I think that's also what will maybe feed his I want to say his blinders as to, is Jude Law's character an actual Jedi, or is he tricking him? So because Wim is so obsessed with Jedi Temple and the stories, I think that might help to blind him to some obvious truths.
Do you think any of the kids are going to end up being Force sensitive?
No, I don't know. I would say I hope not. I don't think that the Force should enter into this story at all.
But it already has with Jude Law.
Well,
He got the keys.
Yeah, but you'd think, why didn't he get the keys before the kids came in? He could have gotten the keys before. He could have escaped
He had
before
no one
the
to
kids
show it
arrived.
off to. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think he's a Jedi. I don't think he has the Force. I think he's a trickster. I think he's like that other guy in the Kenobi series that was tricking everybody into thinking he's a Jedi. But this one is better written, I guess.
yeah.
And I
So,
think
go ahead.
I think his story arc is going to be one of, again, Star Wars and the found family. I think at this point, we're guessing that Jude Law's character is going to, have a turn of heart. He's there to find treasure because he heard these kids talking about a legendary lost planet of treasures, and he's there to hopefully, reap the benefits. He doesn't care about these kids at this point, and I think later on he will start to care about them. Just like the audience is. Again, I was very afraid of not liking the kids. This blue elephant kid actually, stole the show for me. The little actor was great, and I think some of his expressions were great. And I think between him and Win, I think they did a fantastic job.
And where did they find a blue elephant that could act like that?
That's crazy.
Great. But
I know.
you were talking about the kids and the droids, and did you think it was a little weird the occupational aptitude test? I think it seemed like the Divergent series a little bit, where like
Right.
their future, their fate is dependent upon this one exam. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I find that interesting, and I think it's they also mentioned what did they mention, the guest that came in to speak to the kids in the classroom. She was talking about the career assessment test and how the kids can be set up in their careers to contribute to the great work. And again, the great work is another reference to the High Republic books, a concept within that. So who knows? I think, they have droids to do all the menial work, but, all the kids for some reason want to be analysts, and that would contribute to the great work. No matter, who knows what this great work is. So who knows?
Yeah.
What else? Oh, you talk about EM33, and who's the actor that voices him? I think
Oh, the SM-33.
yeah, SM-33. But he was
I
a
don't
great
know, but
addition. Yeah, he was a
he's
great
already
addition.
one of my favorite droids. I will tell you that.
Yeah, love it or hate it, I think Star Wars does droids very well. They really understand droids, and I think this
Nick
one is a pretty good
Frost.
one. Nick Frost, yeah. Great voice, good actor, and hopefully they will come back and rescue him or take him with.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was a really awesome look for him. I think if you were going to have a pirate, first mate droid, that's what he should look like. And with the addition of the rat sticking out of his eye, I thought that was an amazing look.
Yeah, pretty clever. It's funny. So these kids come from this planet. Obviously, we've seen the variety of beings that are in the classroom. To us, obviously, they are alien-like. But when they get to the pirate port, I think either Wim or Neil looks at one of the creatures and said, "Oh my God, look, an alien." So it's kind of interesting then that would suggest to me that really the people or the alien life form that are on his planet are nowhere else. And then obviously we know that the barrier prevents any ships from going out or coming in. So they're pretty well isolated from the rest of the galaxy. And I think again, like I said, that's going to be an interesting story or concept to follow. Why is this planet hidden so much?
Yeah, especially everybody's opinion of it, thinking that it's a myth.
Yeah,
They're actually,
yeah,
laughing at the idea that they said they were from that planet.
right. So I think we're going to get some interesting action going forward. Um, I like the fact that episode 2 starts pretty much right where the end of episode 1 ended. Um, you had the ship take off into hyperspace, but I think this series hopefully, if when it's done, I think it'll look good as one complete rewatch. Back and forth. I think it's pretty seamless.
Well, episode 3 is a flashback. So as is episodes 5 and 7, those are all flashback episodes. So I don't know.
They didn't learn anything, did they, from the acolyte?
No, it's a joke.
I thought the Onyx Cinder was a really great name for a starship.
Didn't catch that, but yeah.
Um, that was probably one of the first things that was revealed, because Lego is very famously known for dropping names and spoiling things when they release their
Oh, I
Lego
did see that at
sets.
Target. I did see the place at a Target.
Yeah, so it was revealed at that time that the name of the ship was the Onyx Cinder. So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So, the first episode in, how are you feeling about this kid adventure? Is it just by the first episode? Um, is it working for you?
So far. That's all I can say is so far. I'm going to deliberately keep my bar low.
That's
And
funny.
hopefully I'm pleasantly surprised the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so far for me it's working. There's certain technical elements that I think that someone in my profession looks at, which I'm very pleased about. I mentioned a couple of them at the top of the show. There seems to be a really great balance between the volume and some practical set pieces, as well as camera movements that really sell certain shots for me, rather than just keeping the camera pretty static and steady and having actors, walk back and forth. I think the wide shots are great. There seems to be a great texture and feel to the pirate port. I don't know if you noticed in one of the wide shots, you see all this stuff happening in the foreground, but in the background, but in the foreground, there seems to be like 2 feet hanging. So I don't know if they're just kind of sitting on the ledge, or if somebody executed them and they're just hanging
Oh,
there.
I saw that. Yeah, I thought they were hanging.
Yeah, I
That's what
mean
it
we
looked
saw
like to me.
we saw that in the Kenobi series, so wouldn't be surprised if folks were hanging here too. So
Yeah.
that'd be interesting.
So you said they did shoot this in the volume?
Yes, yeah. So I mean, do you obviously um, Book of Boba Fett? You can tell it just seemed like it was shot in a warehouse. There was not a
Yeah.
lot of depth and texture to it,
I
but
think you
this
call it
one,
a fan film.
yeah, yeah. But this, like I said, it really does have a certain texture to the look and feel of this.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What are some of the other things that you liked over the first 2 episodes?
I mean, I thought it had a great story, great energy so far. As you said, the interactions were good between the kids. I uh, I love Jude Law as an actor. We didn't get to see him much yet,
Right.
but I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the show. Again, the SM-33 droid thought was fantastic, and the way he had their back when he thought that they were in trouble they were in trouble,
Right.
and taking care of that situation. Um, I'm not gonna keep comparing it to the Goonies. I'm just gonna let it to see how it plays out.
Sure.
There's only one Goonies, so uh, let's not compare it to that. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Hyperspace Hero says the show has good world building. I would tend to agree. I
I think so
think,
too.
yeah, I think, again, I think, I'm not too familiar with a lot of John Watts stuff, like right off the cuff, but I have a feeling that, if you take a look at some of the names of the directors that are in charge of this
Decent lineup.
series, there are some heavy hitters in there. So I almost feel like, Star Wars and Disney, they're getting back to, all right, let's just get somebody that knows what they're doing and do a Star Wars project. And I
Yeah,
think that's a good thing.
yeah.
Is there any?
Maybe I think they went in with the right intentions on this show. They were just gonna
Yeah,
have fun with it, you know.
yeah. And
Something's not
Dan,
gonna be controversial, you know.
right. Well, I mean, I don't think any show should fear controversy because of fan backlash. I think, if you're going to pull the trigger, pull the trigger, but that happens afterwards. But
Well, I'm just saying, I think Star Wars can just use something just that where all fans can enjoy it
sure, sure.
peacefully.
Yeah. And I know through conversations with Danny and some of her connections, I know Dave Filoni fought for making this show, and I think both Filoni and Favreau, I guess. But I think it's fun. It was, again, going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be very kid oriented, but there are kids in it, but I think it's something that a lot of people can enjoy no matter what your age. It seems like Star Wars it seems like a fun Star Wars show. It's not everything can be Andor, and I have to kind of accept that. But I do feel like it's got a really great start to something that a lot of fans will hopefully enjoy throughout the series.
Yeah, and I think it's going to appeal to, I know it's marketed towards younger crowd, but like you said, I think more age groups are going to enjoy this, and you can already imagine what the ride's going to be like at Disney World for this one.
Sure. Talking about marketing and
Oh
all
yeah,
that stuff.
this is all for Galaxy's Edge. I'm telling
Sure,
you.
sure. Is there anything that you didn't like that kind of struck a nerve with you? I know you talked about kids playing with Star Wars action figures in a Star Wars show, but anything else?
That was a little weird to me, but I didn't like turn me off to it or anything. Not not really. I mean, we watched them back to back. I thought they were both entertaining. Um, as of this point, I don't really have any negative criticisms about the show.
Yeah, definitely.
I
Hyperspace
mean,
Heroes.
yeah, Disney. I'm sure will take care of that at some point, but right now I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it does have that 80s feel to it. Definitely. Everybody talks about Amblin and E.T. and the films of that era. So, for fans, our age, I think it definitely hits something. And I think it was, again, by design. They chose that song on purpose
Yeah,
to get us kind of interested, and I think it's working so far.
and
Let's
we know
rate it.
Favreau and Filoni are they're part of the project, so I think we're in store for probably a lot more. You already said what 61
Yeah,
Easter eggs,
supposedly. Yeah.
and I think we're probably in store for a lot more, and I think we're going to see a lot more of the traditional Star Wars universe as we continue to go through this story.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So yeah, let's go ahead and rate these two episodes collectively. How many blue elephant children do you give this series so far?
How many total blue elephant children are there? Is this out of 10 blue elephant children?
Yes, let's do out of 10.
7.5.
7.5 blue elephant alien children. That is your rating, Brad. You know, it's funny because I think I enjoyed both episodes. Going into it, didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be very kiddie, but I came out on the other end, you know, smiling, and maybe I don't know if it helped that I watched it on the big screen with friends, but it definitely was a really great, you know, Star Wars experience for me and everybody that went to the theater. But I hope that folks also, you know, again, I'm seeing a lot of fan polls and people are saying, you know, it's a 7 out of 10. I do want to echo your rating of 7.5 blue elephant children on the ratings out of 10.
It doesn't get a max Rebo rating yet. But
No, we'll see. We'll get there. But I think it's off to a good start. It's definitely a show that I would probably keep watching just to see what you know, what else we get. But Jude Law, again, like you said earlier, he's one of those actors that just brings something to a project, and I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised at the contribution that he has in this Star Wars show. I think some of the things that I've read about his relationship and his acting with the kids is going to surprise us, and I think we'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Is this a Monday release?
I forgot. Was it Monday or Tuesday? Yes.
It came out on Monday.
Yeah.
They stick to that.
So I think on Wednesday night, I'm doing I'm guesting on a podcast live, Chatooine. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll have some stuff to say about episode 3. But we'll come back Saturday and discuss our own takes on Skeleton Crew episode 3. You going to be with me, Brett?
Yeah, unlike the Acolyte, we're still looking forward to this discussion. We didn't want to cancel this Saturday night, so that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. We're like, you know what? Let's just cancel. We can't talk about the Acolyte anymore. That's hilarious. Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. So looks like we really enjoyed Skeleton Crew. We'll see what happens as we go through the rest of the episodes. But you know, there's a hell of a lot more, you know, thumbs up than thumbs down from our perspective. And we're looking forward to chatting with all you guys. We're going to have some guests coming up on Saturdays. We'll probably, I'm trying to get Pat and Charles to discuss one of the episodes, and we'll get some other folks to come in and chat as well. Folks that are in the Red 5 Network and folks that are not in the Red 5 Network. We love to make friends over here.
Absolutely. That's why we do it.
Any final thoughts before we say goodbye? And thank you everyone in the chat for hanging out with us on Saturday night. I hope you guys brought your adult beverages.
And your popcorn.
And I got the Force.
Thanks everybody for coming out. We appreciate it.
Don't forget to listen to our shows wherever you find your other favorite podcasts. Just turn to your smart speaker and say, "Hey, Alexa, tune in to the latest Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast." Download wherever you download. And don't forget to find our friends over at the Red 5 Network at bio.link/Red5. Brad, I want to do another answer voicemail, comment on voicemail show. So please give us a call on the voicemail hotline, 773-234-8659. Leave us a message about anything, and then Brad and I will discuss and talk about it and see what we can come up with. But we had a really great time doing that last time in our in the audio feed. So we're looking forward to doing it again. Until next time, Brad, what do you got to say about yourself?
He's just Ro. I'm Brad, and that's the Scuttlebutt.
Because it's always shady on Scarif. Talk to everybody, lady.